Okay, hey everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of On Point EDC, brought to you by the Average Bros channel. So, you may already be a subscriber and enjoying some of our other segments, namely On the Wrist from Off the Cuff, which covers wristwatch reviews as well as kind of watch-oriented gear. So we're actually going to be rolling out some more EDC-oriented type reviews, mostly focusing on different types of knives, as well as some kind of other types of gear. So we're going to go ahead and roll this out. This video is basically going to be my knife theory video. So it's going to, kind of cover my thoughts on different types of tiers, some of my thoughts on pairing different knives, as well as some kind of general anatomy as far as different knife terms and everything. And then I will probably towards the end post some information on kind of different types of steel and where they fall in their own in their own hierarchy. So let's go ahead and start off with a wristwatch check. So today we have the Oris Aquis Date in blue. So here's a little just kind of wrist candy for you. And now we'll get into the video here. So we'll start off with covering, it's kind of knife theory 101 as per me. Talk about knife tiers. So, I think it's pretty basic. It's something that's kind of similar to the tiers in watches, except I feel that for knives, of course, the different pricing and cost and of course value are going to be measured a lot differently and at a much smaller rate, right? Because some people consider a watch that's $2,000 a mid-range watch. Not the case with knives. Okay, so essentially there's kind of 5 general categories. And so the beginning, of course, is budget knives. So that's going to kind of be the knife for the non-knife lover. That's the knife that you can kind of pick up anywhere. It's at the checkout lane. It's in some type of weird plastic container at Walmart or Target or something like that. So that's kind of just the budget knife. It's there to cut and not much else. And then next we kind of move more into entry level, which is where you're going to start kind of having some of those more seasoned brands that are and these are going to be kind of their entry level pieces. So there's entry level, there's the tier for the brand, and then there's the tier for the model, right? So just kind of generally speaking, entry level, you're going to start getting more solid quality, and this is kind of that you're starting to buy a knife for somebody who likes knives and not just somebody who needs to cut something. And then you get into the mid-range, which I think, just like with watches, is kind of a great place. You'll find a lot of nice quality in the mid-range. You're going to start stepping up in materials, better steel, better handle materials, a little bit better tech, some a little bit more current and modern technology. And then you kind of get into the high end, which I feel high end is kind of a small niche as far as knives go. For me, a high end folding knife is going to be something that's going to have, of course, great finishing, but it's also going to have more tech, right? It's going to have some of the newer features and just some of the nicer things and little niceties that take it kind of above and beyond what you need inside of a knife. And then from there, then you kind of transition into luxury, where that's just, there's all types. It's just, you're going to be going well above and beyond what somebody needs, especially for a knife that's going to be in their pocket, right? So that's when you're going to start getting into, really crazy designs, and it's really almost a traveling art piece. That's when you're in kind of that mid-tech and custom range. And, there are some production knives that I would consider luxury, because they do have the brand cash, that brand cachet, like Chris Reeves. So that's when you kind of get into, I'd say, that luxury range, where you're just buying something and it's really for more than a knife. Of course, it's going to need to still meet all the criteria of a useful knife. but you know, it's just going to kind of go above and beyond and really be more of a statement piece than anything. So the next part of kind of my knife theory is pairing. So I believe in the idea that you know, two knives are better than one. So I think it's really cool to have two specialized knives versus one all-arounder, right? So let's say you have a Chris Reeve Sabenza 21 large, right, with a Damascus blade and you know, and some either carbon fiber or wooden inlays, right? So now, yeah, you have a really great looking knife with, you know, a great name, great history, and all that. But now you're gonna kind of, you don't really want to use that knife, right? And if it's your only knife, if it's your one knife, then that's what you're gonna have to cut things with, right? So you're gonna want something else, right? Kind of a beater, and if you split the time between them, then they're gonna both stay in relatively better condition than if you just had one. So that's kind of the thought there. And then these knives here are from my collection, and they, you know, I think they kind of cover that pairing theory really well. So let's start off. So let's just get this out of the way. So we're gonna cover kind of an entry-level pairing, a mid-range, and a high-end pairing. We're not gonna get into budget because honestly, kind of at the budget range, you're just going to be happy to get any type of quality. So you're going to be really fighting for that versus, you know, hey, I want something that also looks cool, looks sleek, feels good in my hand. You know, that's for me, that's kind of outside of the range of what you can get with a budget knife. And then as far as luxury goes, honestly, you'll even see as we kind of progress from here in these stages up into the high end knife pairs, is that when you get into luxury, these knives are going to be more than capable. So you're not going to really necessarily need to have another knife, right? You're not going to need a beater knife to have with it, because those knives are going to be very capable. And honestly, once you're spending that type of money, those knives aren't really going to be paired. You're just going to have like your one knife that's going to be at home in a drawer, and you're going to have the knife you actually carry. The idea here is that these are knives that you're going to actually carry. You know, and hence EDC, right? Everyday carry. So let's start off with the budget, and so we'll start off with the Kershaw Leek, right? So this is a great knife. Again, we're not going to cover too much into the specifics of the knives because there will be dedicated knife review videos for each one of these, and you know, and kind of anything else that comes in as the channel progresses. So here we go. Really, you know, the Kershaw Leek is kind of the Seiko SKX of folding knives. I mean, EDC knives. It's just it's kind of where quality begins, right? There's so many other knives that you're gonna buy that aren't gonna be as good as this. Some of them are gonna be cost more, and some of them are gonna cost the same, and there's gonna be a lot that are also super cheap. But I mean, really, this is kind of the standard and the threshold for, oh, you want a knife that is going to be decent and get you respect. And I mean, it's such a likable knife. It's actually you know, it's pretty collectible. So and customizable, right? You can get different screws and everything like that for it. Let me just get it to focus here. So really nice piece, and you know, it's something that it's completely capable of, you know, opening boxes and letters and all the stuff that you need it to do. But if this was your only knife, you'd wear it out pretty quick. So cool thing to have would be this Spyderco Delica 4. So now you're going to have something that's going to be a little bit more utilitarian, right? And really, really ergonomic. So really great grip on that, and you know, superior control, I'd say, than what you have when you're holding a Leek. And this is only, you know, about $25 more in price. This particular model is the Fern Green model, which is kind of a grayish green, and it has the combo blade with the more traditional saber grind on there versus the full flat grind. So this is a great knife to have, you know, for the yard, for the garage, you know, kind of something you can beat on and you don't have to worry about it at all. So really great knife, really light, disappears in the pocket. wonderful when you, that's really, you know, another one of those entry-level gems that you're gonna have. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the mid-range. So let's take a look at this nice Boker Plus, the Urban Trapper. You know, now we're starting to get, you know, in kind of a little bit nicer materials. You know, we have the nice wood scales with the titanium frame here. You know, VG10 steel, which is a nice Japanese steel. So I mean, this was also VG10 here in the Delica. So I mean, another reason why that's kind of really great bang per buck. But so this knife is you know, clearly it's a little bit more about looks, and it's a little bit more about how it is in the pocket, right? It's something that's going to disappear. You can reach into your pocket and you don't have to worry about your knife getting in the way of anything, right? So this is something that, you know, in any situation you can have it, and it's not going to alarm anybody when you pull it out, right? It doesn't look like something, you know, it's not a tactical blade whatsoever. It's something that is going to be there, and it's, you know, it's a cutting edge that you can have with you to you know, for your cutting needs. It's nice materials, decent quality finish, and, you know, honestly, it's one of the more handsome knives that are out there. So really cool piece to have. You know, fits into, you know, you can go to dinner with this, you can go to work with it, even, you know, in an office type situation. Not going to be something that's going to scare people. So on the other end of the spectrum, the Sage 2, right, from Spyderco. Super sharp out of box, amazing ergonomics here. I mean, look at that. It just locks, your hand just locks into there. It's just brilliant in its simplicity. It's just 3 bolts holding it together, titanium frame lock. It's just you know, a great knife. It's a lot of people, you know, this is kind of a cult classic. The Sage 2. There's a lot of other folding knives with more bells and whistles, but this is one of those knives where it just gets the formula right, and it's just, man, it's a real favorite. So of course it's gonna have it has that nice full flat grind. It has more belly for some better slicing. So it's gonna be a lot more utilitarian than the Boker Plus, right? But it also is a pretty sleek little number, and is gonna, I mean, although it's gonna be wide, it's relatively flat. And it's gonna be okay in the pocket. So, you know, kind of as you step up, now you're gonna get a form with function, right? So it's not just going to be completely one-sided, which is kind of why, you know, this doesn't really apply to me anyway, as far as luxury knives go. So next, we're going to take a look at the Mcusta Tactility. So really smooth, you know, fantastic knife. It's one of those knives that in pictures, it doesn't really give you an idea of kind of its scale and its size. Until you have it in hand. And I mean, this is just a really, really nice piece. It has, you know, some great jimping and great contours in the wood, but it also has really great, you know, little features in there, you know, for a knife lover, right? So check out the Damascus, really cool. And then these little details like the cherry blossom shape here on the bolts. So, I mean, it's little details like that, you know, finely finished, you know, the little ornate details here on this nice deep carry pocket clip. I mean, look at that. There's plenty of room in there. And it's not going to tear up your pants or be hard to take out. So, extremely sharp as well. You know, the core is VG10 with a nickel Damascus wrapped around. So, this is a really nice knife. Again, you got looks, you got utility, but you wouldn't want this probably to be your only knife, because then you're going to be beating on it, right? So hence the knife pair. So for this one, you have, you know, kind of my favorite knife. If I can have I think these two are kind of my favorites. And then, you know, to say I love them all, honestly. But then we have the Domino, which this one's been a little bit modified. So it's actually the Sprint Run blue weave carbon fiber, and then I just added the blue titanium bolts here, upgraded, and then did a deep carry pocket clip titanium, and the finish kind of matches the blade there and the flipper tab. So And then I tied this little lanyard on there. I think it kind of completes the look. Great flipping action on this. Great ergos. Very similar to the Sage 2. And extremely sharp. I'd say out of box. It's kind of a tie, I'd say, probably between the Domino and the Tactility. I mean, these were both extremely sharp out of box, and really smooth. So nice thing about this is, you got a flipper, you've got carbon fiber, titanium, you got washers in the pivot, you've got the steel kind of face on the locking bar there, so that it's just going to be more secure and better lock life down the road. So I mean, you just have so much. I mean, this is just kind of really rich in technology and spec, right? So you get the spec, you get the tech, and at a very reasonable price. You could have 2 of these for a Sebenza, or then you start getting into a Sebenza with carbon fiber scales, then you're gonna go maybe 3 Dominoes, right? So it's one of those things where it's just it's such a smooth, great knife, great in the hand, nice and utilitarian, and completely capable, right? But now that you're going to be splitting duties with this Tactility, it's going to stay in a nicer condition. It's not going to be beat on like it would if it was your one knife. So those are kind of my thoughts on knife pairing. Let me know what you guys think. So next, what we'll do is we'll kind of cover just some general terminology and kind of the anatomy of a folding knife. So we'll go ahead and pull out the Tactility again and kind of just cover some of the parts here. So we'll go ahead and start with the blade. So you see this part right here. This would be the swedge, right, or the false edge. So if you ever hear swedge referred to, this is what they're talking about. It's this nice contour right here. And then we have the primary bevel, right? And then we have the secondary bevel or grind. And basically, so this is going to be the majority of the edge of the knife. And then, of course, there's going to be another finer edge down here. I mean, not on every knife or every blade will even have a secondary edge, or I'm sorry, secondary bevel or grind. But many knives do. It's kind of a very common practice. And then thumb stud, right? Here we have the pivot. This little unsharpened area from here to here is the ricasso. And then of course we have the handle. And then, can also be the outer portion of the handle will be the scales, inner portion, the liner, pocket clip. This one doesn't have a lanyard hole, but so let me, and then we have washers in between, and I'll probably grab some other knives to kind of go over. So basically in between the blade and the liner are the washers. This one has some standoffs. So right here, these little guys are called standoffs. Some knives have back spacers instead of standoffs, but it's nice for this kind of full flowing see-through design because it's easier to clean and keep clean. So let's take a look here. So flipper tab, and then lanyard hole. This one actually has a lanyard tube, so you can either tie the lanyard through the hole or around the tube. As long as the blade isn't anywhere near it, which this one it isn't, so it worked that way, and I think it kind of has a better aesthetic. Here, it's the Spidey hole. So you'll see them, not just Spyderco's, but Spyderco's have definitely made that very famous. So it's basically a thumb hole so that you can flip instead of a thumb stud. And then we have the choil, right? And this one is considered a 50-50 finger choil because it's 50% blade, 50% handle. So really nice. And then right here we have, you know, the thumb ramp. So it's going to come up a little bit. It's going to, the blade geometry is going to ramp up right here for a better grip. And it has jimping, which are these little grips that are carved in here. More jimping here, more jimping here. And jimping is really something that helps for, you know, utility purposes, because it just gives you you know, a better grip, and also you know, in multiple different positions. So those are kind of some of the basic parts. Let me think, are there any other parts that are, you know, of course these are all the different clips. So then, you know, this would be considered the clip side, but really the show side would be this side, the clean side. So let's flip these all over. So this would be like the presentation side is going to be this side that doesn't have the clip on it. You know, of course, they're not going to lay quite as flat for the video here. You know what? So let's go ahead and actually just open all these up and kind of lay them out. Just to get an idea of scale. Oh, whoops. I guess we wanted to go clip up again. We got this little safety on here. Okay, so there you have it. Oh, and of course a lanyard, right? So with the lanyard hole, there's also the option to have a lanyard. And then these all have different types of locks on them, right? This is frame lock, liner lock, frame lock, liner lock, which I think this is almost kind of a frame lock, because you could take these wooden scales off and it would still be a usable knife. Back lock, or you could call it a mid or front lock, because really a true back lock would be back down here versus up there. And then also a frame lock. So those are, you know, then we got, you know, I wouldn't really, this is more of a stop than a thumb stud on the Leek, as you can see. See how it actually is where it stops on the frame there. So, you know, that's kind of Knife Anatomy 101 as per me. And then what I'll do is right now I will post here across the screen kind of the different grades of steel, starting with ultra premium steel, right, which is the now and the fantastic, and then premium steel, which is really good steel. It's really good enough steel, probably more than you're ever going to need. It's only one step beneath probably ultra premium, just because it was the ultra premium of yesteryear, right? Before they came out with what's new, kind of like supercars, right? Now they have hypercars, as if the Ferrari, you know, F50 wasn't enough, and the McLaren F1. Now they have these crazy, you know, and it's just, they're too good to call supercars, so now they're hypercars. So that's on the screen here. That's the premium steel, right? So now we're going to move into high-end steel, which is really great steels. I mean, some of the people's favorite steels, because you're going to have a nice trade-off as far as, you know, edge retention, durability, sharpening, because obviously, you know, the harder the steel is, the probably, yeah, it's going to hold an edge really long, but it's going to also be harder to put an edge on that knife, right? Because if it's going to be so hard, and it's going to be very wear resistant, it's going to be pretty resistant probably to your basic sharpening. And then we're going to go into the upper mid-range steels. So these steels are, you know, adequate steels, and they're going to be in, you know, really desirable knives still, or still going to be using some of these, especially kind of the lower end knives, but still great steels. And then kind of on the other side of the mid-range is kind of the lower mid-range, which is now these are a lot more basic steels here. I'm just pausing in the video to get those across the screen, and we'll close with low-end steels, right? So not too many of those, But just to be aware, if you have something in this deal, you know, it's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum. And the crazy thing is you'll find a lot of, you know, name brand knives that you would think are you know, they're more almost like fashion brands, right? Kind of like you have fashion brands in watches, you also have fashion brands in knife collecting as well. So you know, that's kind of my 2 cents on everything. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you guys excited to see some of this new content? You know, are you? As you can see, I'm a Spyderco fan. You know, Mcusta, Boker Plus. This is kind of my first experience with Boker, but they have a pretty long lineage and history, so definitely cool. Kershaw. I'm sure there's tons of you guys with the Leek or even the Delica 4. So let me know what some of your favorite knives are. Let me know what you think about knife pairing. Let me know what you think about you know, the different knife tiers and your thoughts. And you know, if there's any other parts or, you know, kind of general anatomy on knives that, you know, maybe I missed that you'd like to see me cover and focus on maybe in a later video. All right, guys, I'll cut it there. This was a long one. Thanks for hanging in. Please, if you liked the video, go ahead and hit like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And also make sure to check out our Instagram because we finally got on Instagram. So go ahead and follow us and check us out. If you go to the channel page, you can find the link to the official Instagram there. So thanks a lot, guys. All right, actually, you know what? Who doesn't love a good loom shot? Let's close on a loom shot. There you go. Look at that. BGW9 Swiss made goodness. Oh, what? Oh, this wasn't at 12. Sorry, gotta get it perfect. Okay, all right, on that note, let's close this down. Thanks, guys. Bye.